Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel, Lifestyle and Fashion Tea. I want to get into a story that was in Waterbury, Connecticut. It is very disturbing to me. I have never heard of a case like this, and I'm going to tell you, since I joined YouTube as a content creator, I have been finding the craziest stories. What in the world? Like stories you can't find this on the news. They would never play this on just like channel 13 or whatever news. Never. These cases are crazy. I don't want to give any of this case away because I'm so confused by this whole case that I'm about to say it. But y'all, just take a listen, please.
56-year-old Kimberly Sullivan was arrested. She's accused of holding her stepson captive in that home for more than 20 years. Police say the man told them he set the fire on purpose because he wanted to find freedom and that he had been held in that home since he was just 11 years old. The day after Sullivan's arrest, police released additional details about the case. And Fox 61's Kayla Cade has the story.
Man's unimaginable suffering over the course of 2 decades is just a reminder of the darkness that does exist in our world. Our hearts and our prayers go out to him.
A show of support from Mayor Paul Penarowski Jr. as he talked about the case of a 32-year-old man held in captivity. That man told police he was trapped in a house on Blake Street where his stepmother, Kimberly Sullivan, kept him locked up in a room. Police found out about this when firefighters responded to a fire at their house on February 17th. They said the stepson told firefighters he set the fire on purpose so he can gain freedom. Police noticed the state of the man's body: rotten teeth, dirty, and extremely emaciated.
There's an adult that was 5'9" and 68 pounds. There's some apparent orthopedic issues. The room was very small.
He was taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation. Police Chief Fernando Spagnolo said officers launched an investigation and they arrested Sullivan on Wednesday. In the arrest warrant, the man told police there was a lock on the outside of his bedroom door.
That room did have exterior locks on it and a number of different styles of exterior locks. As was explained during an interview with the victim throughout the years, it appeared that the locks increased in security levels as time progressed.
Spagnolo said this was a very controlling situation.
Information was very guarded on what was released and when he was able to see other members of the family and other members of the community.
The man said he couldn't find other ways to get help, such as by getting someone's attention through the window.
He was fearful that if he broke that storm window or tried to open it up, that there would be some retaliation.
The police report shows how he would drink from the toilet to stay hydrated, and it says he was starved and was forced to find food elsewhere, like school. Because of this, the Department of Children and Families were called to the home twice. The man told police he was forced to lie about his true living conditions. Police said DCF called them to do welfare checks in the past. Spagnolo recalled one from 2005.
Officers went to the house. The house was clean. It was lived in. They spoke to the victim at that point in time, and there were no cause for any alarm or any conditions that existed that would have led officers to believe anything other than a normal childhood and a normal family existence was occurring.
Police were called back in April, this time by the family who wanted to file a harassment complaint against the members of the school district.
Saying that they were continuously reporting them to DCF and felt that they were trying to get the family in trouble and have the family investigated. We have no further information about where that went other than there was no proof provided by the family that there was any type of harassment that was occurring.
The man told investigators he was pulled from school in the 4th grade because of DCF. Mayor Penarowski said city leaders will make sure the systems are working in the future.
Do the checks. We can make sure that teachers, and administrators are looking out for children, notice some of the telltale signs.
Sullivan will face a judge on March 26. In Waterbury, Kayla Cade, Fox 61.
Shortly after the arrest, Waterbury police released the 911 call and the body camera video from the night of the fire. Kayla Cade continues the story.
Oh my God.
It's a frantic 911 phone call.
2 Blake Street. What's the address? Please hurry, it's 2 Blake Street, there's a fire.
From 56-year-old Kimberly Sullivan as she reported a fire at her home on February 17th.
The TV, I don't know, my son, his stepson, is in his room, and I don't know, he did something with the TV. I was sleeping, I fell asleep.
She told the dispatcher she could see smoke and needed help.
Okay, can you get yes, we need an ambulance, please. Okay, please, we need an ambulance.
Ma'am, all right, you said something about fire and now you need an ambulance. What's going on there?
Yes, his road.
She said her stepson was hurt.
Where is he injured?
I don't know. I don't know. He's kind of passed out. He's out of it. Please.
The fire was still spreading while she was on the phone with 911. At one point, she commented that the house went dark.
Oh my God, it's like all the power in the house is out. I don't know if it's blue or you. I don't know.
Okay, ma'am, just get out of the house, okay?
Yes, I'm going to call my daughter. Oh my God.
Sullivan made her way outside of the house. Through this police officer's body cam, you can see and hear Sullivan yelling at someone who is still in the house.
Come on, come down.
Come on, down.
Who else is in the house? Who else is in here?
My stepson is in here.
The officer directed her to move away from the house. You can see the firefighters carrying her stepson in their arms. The officer told her to stay behind while he goes to the ambulance.
I need to stay over here.
Sullivan's stepson told firefighters he intentionally started the fire to gain freedom. Officers arrested Sullivan on March 12th. She's charged with assault, kidnapping, unlawful restraint, and many other crimes. She posted bail after her court appearance. Fox 61 spoke with her lawyer, and he asked that people keep an open mind and allow Sullivan to get a fair trial. In Waterbury, Kayla Cade, Fox 61.
Thank you, Kayla. News of Sullivan's arrest and the story her stepson shared with firefighters took neighbors by surprise. Fox 61's Kay Pattyfoot spoke to some who said they never knew a boy lived there.
Neighbors in Waterbury were stunned to hear a man told police last month he was held captive at his own home on Blake Street in Waterbury.
I never in a million years would have thought that that was happening across the street from me.
It's hurting me, just to see that little boy, just there and being hurt. God knows what they did to him,
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
Paula DePina says she used to live next door to the home where police say the man was held captive. She says she would see him in the windows and always thought something was off.
He was always upstairs on the second floor on the window, looking like a little ghost. He was pale, white. And then I'm like, I don't know why maybe he doesn't like to come out. But I never thought anything was wrong.
DePina says after hearing about the allegations, she would have called 911 sooner. Kimberly Sullivan, the man's stepmother, was arrested Wednesday on a number of charges, including kidnapping in the second degree and cruelty to persons. Her attorney, Ioannis Kaloidis, urges people not to jump to conclusions despite the allegations.
All we have right now are allegations. And yes, sometimes allegations look bad, but that's why we have a process. And that's why we have a defense. And we intend to mount one in this case. And we intend to push back on all the allegations that have been made against her.
According to the arrest warrant for Sullivan, the man details he was held captive, starved, and abused for the past 20 years. He told police investigators he was so hungry he would sometimes eat food out of the garbage at school. The warrant also details when he was a child, he was taken out of school after 2 DCF visits. He says a lock was put on his outside bedroom door. He got little to no sleep and went hungry, quote, all day, every day, my entire life. Shay Baker, his current next-door neighbor, remembers seeing him years ago.
I was just in the backyard playing, and I looked up and saw a boy, and I waved at him. He smiled and waved back, and I hadn't seen him in the house or anywhere around since. So I just figured, was family visiting? Is it somebody that I made up? There was just no sign of him being there outside of that day.
Neighbors say they wish they could have done something sooner.
I've been out here, I don't know how many times, with the dogs, cutting grass. If you would have just tapped on the window and said, help me, I could have helped him.
Thanks, Kay. Kimberly Sullivan appeared in court on March 12th and was released on bond the following day. On Friday, Sullivan and her attorney entered a plea of not guilty as the state moved to add conditions to her release. Fox 61's Jamel Johnson was inside the courtroom and has those details.
Kimberly Sullivan pleaded not guilty in court, but she faces another battle: maintain her freedom during her release or be forced to comply with the state's request of GPS monitoring or house arrest.
Your Honor, may we enter a not guilty plea and make a jury election today?
Kimberly Sullivan, the woman accused of holding her now 32-year-old stepson captive for more than 20 years, continues to maintain her innocence. This was Sullivan's second court appearance this week.
You know what you did!
On Wednesday, the state filed a motion to impose house arrest or GPS monitoring during her release.
I introduced myself to the victim, explained who I was. His first question in this sphere is, why is she out walking around when I was locked up in a room for 20 years?
Tracy Valloran, the son's biological mother, says she feels the same way.
She should be in prison just like she kept my son. It's disgusting that everybody that was in that household is in prison, in solitary confinement, and they could be fed 2 cups of water a day.
The prosecution tried to strengthen their argument by bringing up additional witnesses they say have come forward, like Sullivan's friend of 21 years.
In the 21 years she's known this defendant, she's never spoken of a stepson. She was shocked to learn she had a stepson, and that friend was never allowed in this house.
Sullivan's attorney, Jonas Koloidis, pushed back on the state's motion. He says Sullivan already follows the current release conditions and shows a willingness to appear in court.
I believe they would have a direct and significant impact on her right to a fair trial, and it is one that will impact and bear directly on the presumption of innocence, which is something that is crucial in this case, because nobody has afforded her that.
We asked Attorney Koloidis about his thoughts on the additional witnesses.
It means nothing. There's going to be plenty of people that are going to come out of the woodwork and have all these horrible things to say about my client. We'll see what's actually admissible in court and what stands up in court under cross-examination.
Ultimately, the court granted the condition of GPS monitoring, but denied the state's house arrest request. Judge Joseph Schwartz said that even though these are just allegations right now, this is the most troubling case he's dealt with here in Waterbury. Sullivan's next court date is April 22nd. In Waterbury, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61.
Thanks, Jamel. Experts tell us the legal process will likely take a long time and could be complicated. Fox 61's Keith McGilvery sat down with attorney Ray Hassett to discuss how the legal system might handle the case.
You and I spoke on the phone yesterday, went through this court paperwork together. The details here are out of a horror movie. I should say that they are allegations, but when you read through this, what was your gut reaction?
So my gut reaction was the details are horrific. It's an 11-page warrant. I think there may be some additional investigation that needs to be done. We can talk a little bit about that. But I think for the most part, you don't see these types of cases in Connecticut involving younger people, children or young adults. You see it more with older people, and in particular when family members take advantage of seniors. So in this particular case, it's really bad. Let's talk about the charges for a minute. The charges are 5 different charges. The totality of the charges is about 50 years of exposure. That would send this defendant to jail, theoretically, if she was convicted of all of them, for the rest of her natural life. And she'd be put in a 6x8 cell, which is a little bit larger than the room in which this victim has alleged to have been held in for the past 20 years. As a result, we look at the charges, and the charges are kidnapping, cruelty to persons, and assault. And I can go through those with you, and basically they all fit the charges or the facts rather, as they've been alleged.
I don't want to be too disturbing over breakfast, but the allegations here as to when and if he was able to go to the bathroom. He says he was always hungry. There's so much to this. Mental capacity, you say, is going to be a conversation both involving the man involved here and his stepmother.
Sure. From a defense perspective, I think that one of the things we're going to look at is, did the victim have the mental capacity to make the representations and the allegations that he's made? We know that in the police report there's a little bit of a history of him when he's younger, so there's a suggestion there that he may have some mental health issues, although I think he presented to both the fire department and the police department in a very coherent manner, so that question needs to be decided by some experts. But more importantly, I think the defendant, Keith, what would cause or create a person to do something like this from a young child, from age 11, for 20 years? Of course, then we get into what's the motive. The motive could be that she was looking for financial gain. Potentially, she was married to we believe the husband, her husband rather, was the father of the victim. Did he leave money to the child? Was she controlling the money? Was she getting benefits from the state or from the federal government? So it could be for financial reasons that she did this. That's something that needs to be investigated, I believe, a little bit further.
We know the biological dad. Last year, we also learned that this individual may have had siblings. What is the stepmother's defense as you see it?
Well, I'm not sure what her defense necessarily is going to be other than it didn't happen, which is what her defense attorney has said, and that factually it's inaccurate. There is also the possibility that she may suffer from some mental incapacity herself, so that's something that the courts and her defense team will have to evaluate.
DCF, once again, in the spotlight. We learned through this. I listened to an interview with this man's elementary school principal who said at 5 years old, we knew there was a problem. In 5th grade, we knew there was a problem. The principal says, I called DCF. Here we are 20 years later. Are records kept? Is there liability for DCF? What happens on that front?
So from the statement that DCF made yesterday, they've indicated that their records don't exist anymore, and that's because allegations that were made involving this child were not substantiated, so they've eliminated, or by virtue of their policy, they've basically destroyed old records. That's not uncommon. It's a bit unusual that so many people were triggered back 20 years ago and provided information to DCF, and there wasn't an additional or a continual DCF investigation. Also, the educational system, he was pulled out of school. There's a little bit of a glitch in the law regarding, and especially 20 years ago, whether you had to report if you were homeschooling or you transferred to another school. So I think that the legislature is going to have to pick up on that and do some investigation themselves to determine whether we can restrict this in the future by having more regulation and more following through on people that transfer schools, especially young people that are in distress.
According to police, the man's father died more than a year ago, but he has other biological family members who haven't been part of his life for some time. Jamel Johnson spoke with the man's biological mother and half-sister, who say this is the first time they've seen him in decades.
Imagine laying eyes on your brother when you were just a child, only for that to be the last time you'd ever see him again, or holding your son just for you to be cut off from his life. That's what Heather Tessman and her mother say has been their reality their entire life. Just once is how many times Tessman saw her brother. She was just a child herself during that first and last time.
I saw him when he was a baby. I was in foster care, and our mom brought him to see me, and that was the only time I've ever seen him.
I spoke with the man's biological mother, who didn't want to be identified. She says due to personal reasons, she gave his father custody when he was just a kid.
He just completely shut me out. He shut everybody out. Some of his family, though, still got to see him. As for him growing up, I missed that all.
She never got to be a mother.
Since like November.
And Tessman never got to be a sister.
I've always just wanted him to be a part of my life. You know, figured someday I'd find him and like, hey, let's go have a beer. Let's, catch up. How's it going?
As Tessman got older, she'd search everywhere for signs.
Social media, every search engine you can think of, court records, ancestry websites.
Every lead turned out to be a dead end.
I couldn't find anything. I could see that he was born. That was it.
That is until her mom called and told Tessman that her brother had been found.
My sister had called me and said we found.
I just saw it on the news. I didn't put two and two together. Saturday, our mom texted me, get a hold of me ASAP. Okay, what's up? That was your brother. No, it wasn't.
The family is still in shock at how something like this could have gone on for so long.
Just think he slipped through the cracks? Really?
I'm sure he was terrified. I would like to believe that if a child needed help, they would say something.
His mom and sister haven't spoken with him yet, but they hope to soon.
That I love him, and we all love him. He has never been forgotten about.
I'm going to tell him that I love him, and I've always looked for him. Forever.
Now, meanwhile, Kimberly Sullivan, the man's stepmother, and her attorney deny any claims that the man actually was held captive in this house behind me for over 20 years. We also reached out to members of the Sullivan family, uncles, aunts, sisters, and brothers to see if anyone will be available for an interview, but all of them declined. In Waterbury, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61.
The alleged victim says he suffered 2 decades of abuse that, according to police, included starvation and neglect. One Connecticut lawmaker is questioning how something like this could have happened for so long without intervention. Here, once again, is Jamel Johnson.
The accused kidnapper in question is 56-year-old Kimberly Sullivan, the stepmom of the man who escaped. Reports detail that since a child, the man was held captive, starved, and was subject to other forms of abuse. As a child, it said that he would go through trash to find food and also beg and steal foods and drinks at school. His behavior prompted the school to notify DCF. We reached out to DCF for comment. They sent us back a statement saying, quote, "The Department of Children and Families has looked extensively at our current and historical databases and to date have been unable to locate any records pertaining to this family nor any records connected to the names of others who have indicated they made reports to our department. In accordance with state regulation, it should also be noted that reports of neglect and abuse that have been investigated and not sustained are expunged 5 years after completion of the investigation."
The school administrators and the teachers did their job, right? They identified that there was a problem here and they suspected it was at home. Then the ball's in DCF's court to do their due diligence and make sure that the kid is safe. And that obviously didn't happen here. The big question is, what is DCF doing to make sure that they don't walk up to a house, feel that things are going okay, when in reality they're not?
Thank you, Jamel. DCF has since said that a further check of their records did turn up documents from this case. They say they're working with Waterbury Police and the Office of the Child Advocate to review those documents. They also say they have had multiple meetings with state lawmakers since the investigation came to light. They are pledging transparency in the case. The abuse and neglect alleged in the case are extensive. Police say the victim's mental health is a primary concern. What kind of challenges does someone in this case face? Keith McGilvery sat down with Jessica Arnold from the Village here in Hartford to learn more.
I want to say right off the bat, A, these are allegations, and B, you do not know and you are not treating this individual, so we're going to be respectful of that. But big picture, folks are hearing the details of this story this week, and we are just collectively saying, what happened here? There is so much alleged trauma and neglect. Speak to trauma and the problems that it presents.
Yeah, so trauma can be very pervasive, especially when experienced in childhood. When someone grows up in an abuse or neglect, it really carries through their adulthood. It really creates attachment issues as an adult. It can become pervasive in having social issues, the inability to form romantic relationships or friendships. And it really prevents a person from, exploring the world, right? It really, it hurts their ability to see what else is out there and to really build a life for themselves when they've been, so secluded and socially isolated for so long.
The details here are so incredibly extreme. He was allegedly there for 20 years. He allegedly weighed 68 pounds. Speak to the scope of trauma and neglect that you see, because I suspect that the picture is different from everybody. You not necessarily have to be left alone for 20 years to experience trauma.
Absolutely, yeah. Trauma can come in all different forms, right? Abuse and neglect, two very different things. And so, we see all different types of abuse and neglect, whether it be left alone, whether it be verbal or physical abuse, whether it be someone who, a child left alone to essentially raise themselves, right? We see a wide range of abuse at the Village.
We talk about kids getting the resources that they need when they experience something like this, but as somebody evolves into adulthood and they try to tackle their own trauma or insecurities or experiences of neglect, where do you even start with somebody who might come to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. When an adult comes in for treatment at the Village, we really look to do, an assessment, an overall evaluation of what's going on for them, what they're experiencing, and kind of getting a very current snapshot of their needs, right? And then at the Village, we offer a lot of trauma work, a lot of individual therapy using EMDR, it's a buzzword, right? And then we also offer groups, coping skills groups that are dialectical behavior therapy based. We also offer emotional management support. And then we have a robust team of clinicians and case managers and recovery support specialists for those that may be, not only are they experiencing chronic mental health issues, but they're also experiencing substance misuse.
I have sat on this couch long enough, you have been in this industry long enough to know that there was somebody watching this morning who has experienced trauma or neglect and maybe a full-grown adult and has not said a word to anyone since it happened. Speak directly to that individual. What should she or he know this morning?
That you are cared for, that there are tons of people that are waiting for you to step into their office and talk about the hurt that you've experienced and begin the journey to heal, because that is, it just takes one day and one person to connect with you, and they're waiting there, they're out there for you, they want to support you, and you just have to be brave enough to take that first step.
So let's make sure people have the resources that they need. If either they or someone they know needs love, needs love, yes, but also needs support. They're watching this morning, they say, what do I do?
Yes.
What does somebody do?
Yes, well, you can give us a call at the Village. We offer adult outpatient treatment. Our office is on Wethersfield Ave in Hartford, so you're more than welcome to join us there, come in person, or you can go to thevillage.org and get all the information that you need.
We are grateful for the work that you're doing. We already have contact information for the Village on our website, fox61.com. I hope you'll stay in touch. This is a conversation that's just starting.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
In the wake of these terrible accusations, the community has rallied around the man at the center. Fox 61's Angela Bavaro spoke to an organization raising money for his care.
Safe Haven of Greater Waterbury is the organization behind this fundraiser. That group, which is headquartered right here on Central Avenue and provides services to victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse, immediately rallied behind this man Police say was held captive after being contacted by the mayor.
The scars from a fire at the House of Horrors on Blake Street are boarded up as the investigation continues.
We are receiving a lot of information and obviously working closely with the state's attorney's office to help in the adjudication of the case.
My stepson is in here.
But the damage to the 32-year-old man police say intentionally set the fire after being held captive inside by his stepmom for 20 years is impossible to bandage.
From what we know, the education stopped at age 11, so it's going to need educational resources. He doesn't even probably know about technology these days. Anything that he's dealing with medically, from the weight loss or rebuilding his muscles to being able to walk properly, physical therapy, emotional therapy.
Amanda Nardozzi is offering a second chance. Her organization, Safe Haven of Greater Waterbury, set up this GoFundMe to support the man.
So we initially started it with the hopes to raise $10,000. That could go to help support some of his medical care, dental treatment, long-term rehab.
Nardozzi says support is critical in this case, delivered in a trauma-informed manner.
Dealing with the client on a much more empathetic level than you would with a person in society, understanding what they've gone through.
And to make sure more kids do not endure the same trauma, Nardozzi wants to see better communication between agencies.
Part of the issue and my career going back dealing with DCF, it's that we're siloed. All these agencies are standalone agencies, state agencies, law enforcement's their own agency. There's no collaboration and follow through when this happens. So, if one person goes out and does a welfare check, everything's okay, and DCF, nobody's communicating. And I think that needs to change. We need to have a better checks and balance system.
Every dollar that's raised through the Safe Haven fundraiser will go to the victim. Nardozzi says all that money will be put into a trust. Reporting in Waterbury, I'm Angelo Bavaro, Fox 61.
Thanks, Angelo. We will continue to follow this difficult story and we'll bring you the very latest on Fox 61 Plus and fox61.com. For now, I'm Bridget Piorlo. Thank you for joining us.
This was a house of horror. I am not understanding for 20 years, from 11 years old to now he's 32. What the? I'm going to stay on this case because I don't even know how she's out on bond. She should not be out at all. And I'm not understanding when people see something that is so weird. You saw him in the window. One lady is saying she saw him in the window plenty of times, but then you just thought nothing. See something, say something. And just how the schools and everybody just let this slip through their fingers. Like, this is crazy to me. And a grown man weighing 68 pounds. What the world? I'm going to try to stay on this case the best way I can, because I need to know the outcome of this. Guys, on the way out, I thank you for listening. Like, share, and subscribe.